Steps I Took podcast back in the building.
Back in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, aren't you going away soon?
Oh, yeah, Bangkok.
Yeah.
Yeah. Towards the end of May. DJing in Bahrain
Ooh.
in a week or so's time, so that should be fun. I've not been before. Have you been before?
Yeah, I have actually. I've been a couple of times to do some freelance events.
Oh, yeah.
It's good out there.
How-
It's relaxing. All of the GCC countries, nice and slow paced.
Yeah. Compared to Dubai.
Have you got a hotel already? I've got a good recommendation.
They're sorting it all out, so
Okay, that's
yeah.
fine.
But feel free to send the recommendation.
I'll send it later when I can't remember the name, obviously.
Fair. And how you been?
Good. I've had a nice, after High Rocks the other week, I actually needed like a whole 10 days of rest. High Rocks took my soul. Like, it's so much dedication and like mental willpower I felt for me to get through the whole of High Rocks that it just took it all. And I just said, no, I can't do it this week.
Yeah.
So I'm back to training again, feeling happy, feeling like energized.
Good.
What about
Good
you?
stuff. Yeah, I'm good. You know, after Ramadan now, everything's just back to normal now, and you know, just rolling through each day as they come. And yeah, post High Rocks, I'm feeling good. And you know, speaking of like fitness competitions and stuff, I'm excited about the guests that we have on today's show. They've absolutely taken the region by storm with the fitness events that they've put on. I've been to a few to take part in, and I mean, some I don't want to say excelled, but I've been a participant. So, but I'm excited to get into a discussion with these two guests, just to find out, you know, why, like, who comes up with the idea to set up a fitness competition in Dubai. You know, me, I run events, I throw loads of parties and brunches and stuff, but like the idea of like doing an actual fitness event is, you know, it isn't something that I would have necessarily thought of straight away. So, I'm looking forward to getting into this conversation with Pat and Matthew. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, guys.
Yeah, no.
And I remember the first event that we saw Jev at, actually. It was Precision Pairs, right?
Yeah.
Just before Christmas last year.
Yeah,
And I remember you came and you wore that orange T-shirt, the
Yeah.
Puma one.
Yeah.
Couldn't miss you. It was
Yeah.
so good.
Bigger than Christmas.
Yeah. And our team was called Two Broken Men.
That's right. Yeah.
Shout out to Francis. Actually, no, I think I actually did a precision event before that.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think you did an event October last year, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did you do one before that?
Yeah, so that would have been the Precision Games in the April before.
Yeah.
So it was around the floods, you know, the big
Oh, yeah.
floods
Oh,
that we had in
yeah.
Dubai.
Yeah.
So it was around that sort of time. It was supposed to be in Sports City, but it's a bit of a disaster story. But we then moved it to the Sevens, and that would have been the Precision Games, which is part of the Precision series that we run.
Yeah.
Yeah, the teams of 4.
And you did that again towards the end of this, not long ago, right? But a couple of months ago, was it?
Yeah. So we obviously had that one in October. We've now on the 3rd of May got the next one coming up, which is the Precision Games. Teams of 4, 2 male, 2 female. That'll be at Sports City again.
Yeah.
Are you taking part in that one?
Most likely, yep, I think so. Yeah.
Shall I do it with you? Yeah, shall we do it together?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
We can get a little team going. And,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So for context, so the event company called we've completely gone.
Yeah, sorry.
Like we have a tradition as well, but which we'll
Yeah.
get to in a minute. But for context, so your event company is called Precision Series, right? Or is it Precision Events? And
So our event, like the umbrella company, is Precision Events.
Yeah.
And then under that umbrella company, we run a number of different types of events. Probably what we're most well known for, and the stuff which is more sexy, shall we say, is like the publicly run fitness competitions that we do, like the Precision Series that you've taken part in, and then also the Primal Race, which you've also done.
yeah.
So those are our 2 main sort of publicly run fitness competitions that we do. But behind the scenes, we do a lot of other event stuff, marketing events, corporate events, a few things for the government, stuff like that. But yeah, the stuff that's the loudest, shall we say, are those 2.
Okay, fair.
Is that the stuff you enjoy the most as well? Is that why it's the loudest?
Yeah, it's very like close to our hearts because obviously we'll talk about how we got it started, but because of our backgrounds in sport, it's the closest thing that we can be involved with that isn't what we used to do. So
Yeah.
that's where our passion is, and then you have the other ones which we're still passionate about, but it's got a completely different vibe, and like the people that come are obviously more corporate based, so the relationships there are a bit different to what we obviously have with people like Jev at our events.
Yeah. So our tradition on this podcast is to always ask our guests straight away, what has been a highlight or the best part of the last 7 days of your life?
Oh wow, the last 7 days. So I was at home So that was really nice. I got to go home and see my family.
In case you can't understand from his accent, he's from Wales.
Yeah. Actually, when I was back, everyone told me I'd lost my accent.
Right, yeah.
But then as soon as I come back here, everyone's like, yeah, he's Welsh.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
Can, I can hear it.
We
clearly.
can confirm that it's not lost.
But yeah, for me, like with myself and Pat, we work so much these days. It's nice to sometimes just step away from Dubai and just get some context, see the family, and they're very good at grounding me and reminding me like where I come from and stuff. And it just allows me to align with my values and stuff a little bit. So the highlight for the last 7 days for me was getting back and seeing the family and seeing the dogs.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Mine's probably the same because we've got we had a small bit of downtime. I got taken away for my birthday to the Fujairah Tennis Centre by my better half, and my youngest son came with us. So we had an amazing time down there and just went mountain biking. Just time to not look at your phone, basically.
Yeah,
nice.
that sounds really
Like,
nice.
family stuff.
Yeah. No, that sounds really good. Like, and so is tennis a thing that you've kind of always been?
Not at all.
Oh.
Basically, my on Airbnb. I'm not sure if you how much you use Airbnb, but I love like the section where it's like unique stays. So like this one's at like the tennis center that was in Fujairah. When I go places like Bulgaria, I stay in like cabins and stuff like that with like jacuzzi. Like I just love stuff. My background's in construction as well, so like things like that. I just love going to those sort of places.
Seeing the different types of architecture and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know there was that section on Airbnb.
No, me neither. I'm gonna check it out.
Oh,
Same,
no,
yeah.
some of the places are insane, and then you obviously look at the high value like ones of people like in Miami. Some of the places are
Yeah.
insane.
I can imagine.
Oh, fair. So I guess like a starting point for us, we tend to ask our guests is just trying to take it back to, before Dubai, growing up. Obviously you're in sports and sports events. You both, look like you're in, good shape. So is sport something that was like centered around your life from an early age or?
Yeah, growing up in Wales, the natural sport for me to take part in compulsory, should we say, was rugby. So I grew up playing rugby, but I've always had a huge affinity for sport. I just love everything around sport, how good it is for your mental health, the sort of values that it instills in people, how it develops your resilience. And I feel like for me personally, no sport is better for that than rugby. You get humbled in pretty much every single game of rugby you play, and there's always going to be someone that is a little bit better than you, a little bit faster than you, a little bit stronger than you. So growing up playing rugby for me was almost like a way of life, I grew up and my dream was to grow up and play for Wales. Like I think every little boy's dream is in Wales. And then I was lucky enough to then go on and play for Wales. So that was amazing for me, Loved it, played professional rugby for around 10, 11 years. And then unfortunately I had to retire because I had all this shit that you hear about in the news now. I was one of those guys that had the brain damage, diagnosed probable CTE. So I had to stop playing when I was 26.
What is that?
So it's basically like a mild form of brain damage, and it can lead to like all sorts of horrible things if it's not like managed properly. If it's left to sort of, if you get more concussions and stuff like that, it can lead to like really horrible things like Alzheimer's, dementia, obviously like depression and stuff like that as well. It has an impact on that because it impacts your hormone balance and things like this. Very prevalent in the media now. So it's just a horrible thing. That's a byproduct of playing contact sport. But yeah, like you talk, a lot of people ask me, would I change it? Would I play rugby if I could do it all over again? And obviously, yeah, I would. It's like I think it's shaped me into the person that I am today. All of my core values pretty much come from things that I learned from playing rugby and being involved in those sort of circles and being involved in that culture. Yeah. So fingers crossed my condition doesn't get any worse. I've been retired now for 7 years and touch wood, it's not become worse, probably because I'm not getting hit in the head anymore. So yeah, and I think that all of the good things I've taken away from rugby, I would never want to lose those things,
Yeah.
What kind of good things?
Like I think like rugby is obviously a very hard game to play, especially like, well, at any level, regardless if you play professional or if you play for your local team, it's just a tough game. It's physical, it's a contact sport. You've got some huge guys, you've got some small, fast guys. So like in some capacity, you are going to eventually get humbled, whether you miss a tackle or someone puts a big tackle in on you, or you get hurt, or you get like, I don't know, hit from the side or something. So I think that you just it just builds this resilience in you. That you can't always be the best and you can't always win and you can't always be super successful in everything you try. If you look at some of the best players in the world, they are super resilient people and they're massive risk takers, and they're just comfortable at like performing at a really high level, and they're comfortable with taking risks. And then I guess they're also comfortable with, if this doesn't come off this time, I'm not going to let it ruin my confidence or ruin me. I'm going to learn from it and then try a little bit different next time. And I think those are principles that we can apply pretty much to any part of life.
Yeah.
Were there any symptoms? You know, you said you kind of just had to retire. Was it because you went for a random checkup, or were there any symptoms? Because I can see the passion when you speak about rugby, and so that must have had an impact on your life to kind of just say goodbye to it. And
it was by far the hardest thing that I've ever been through in my life. I had actually just signed a 3-year contract as well when I just turned 26, and I'd signed a 3-year contract. I just had the best season of my career, like when I was 25. Amazing. I was like really like, I feel like I was really peaking, and I renewed with the Dragons, where I played all of my professional rugby. 3-year contract, very excited to sort of like see what the next 3 years brought. And then I played against Harlequins up in London. Great game, of which I remember none of it now. I made a tackle and I got kicked in the face as I went down, and I was just completely out, like completely lost consciousness. I only know this from watching the game back. I sort of lost like my memory from a week before that incident and probably a week after. I was in hospital for 2 days, just like to be monitored and stuff. I came back, and then in rugby there's even more protocols in place now, but even then there was like a return to play protocol, but I never got past level 1. So I was never able to get past level 1. So then they referred me to a neurologist. I went through all the steps and stuff. And then after around 6 months of like trying different medication, trying different things, the decision was made that it would just be too risky for me to ever play rugby again.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I'm actually lost for words, because I can only imagine how disheartening that is when you're working so hard towards something. So I really understand as well where that resilience comes from now coming through that. So what did you do straight after that when you're now told, oh, these next 3 years you've just signed up for? Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, like honestly, like I won't sugarcoat it. It was fucking hard, like, because all my friends were like my teammates. I felt like everything in my life, my routines, my habits, like what I did for work, like it was rugby, So suddenly when that 99% of what made me who I was just suddenly taken away from me overnight, because the way that they told me was, I just went for a routine checkup with my neurologist, and I walk in the room and the director of rugby for the Dragons is there, the team doctor and the neurologist are there. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? I sit down and they just tell me there and then. And the harsh reality of professional sport as well. The following day, I had a phone call from, I won't say who it was, but I had a phone call from one of the officials at the Dragons. And he was like, oh, by the way, at the end of the month, you're not getting paid. Your contract's void because you've had to retire through injury. So I was like, right, well, I've got a mortgage to pay. I'm going through the toughest thing I've ever gone through, and now I don't have any money. So It was like...
So obviously an injury is not your fault. So you have to retire due to something that's not your fault, and you don't want to, and now you don't get paid either.
It was just tough.
Is that down to like the detail and does every player face that, or can some players like negotiate that out?
I won't speak for like other people, but yeah, in my instance, it was like you've retired through an injury, which means that at the end of the month, like your contract's void. You're no longer like a commodity or whatever, so you won't be getting paid.
It's like you're down. Here's another kick.
Yeah, and it hurt.
It's the hard. I don't want to cut him off on what he's saying, but one thing that we always talk about with professional sport is it's the only job you can sit in a room and someone point at you and say, the reason we're not doing well is because of you.
Wow.
And it's not like you can't complain to HR, you can't like, it might actually be right, but it is such a cutthroat sort of industry of like, and it's very short-lived as well.
Yeah, so. I mean, retiring at 26 is like crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know what they want to do at 26.
Yeah. What I would say now, I mean, it wasn't that long ago I retired, but I do know that the unions and stuff that are in place now, there's much better protocols. The players are looked after better. There's better things in place if like shit like this does happen. But yeah, it was pretty tough for me, if I'm honest. And then the next probably like 6 to 9 months of my life was pretty like chaotic, to be honest. I mean, as a byproduct of the injury, I was pretty like mentally unstable anyway, because what happened to me in my instance was, I mean, the physical symptoms were pretty bad. Like I couldn't train and stuff because the blood flow to the brain would cause me to feel like vertigo, feel sick, stuff like this. And I was photosensitive. But the main thing that I felt in my instance was like my hormonal balance was just way off. So like my emotions were crazy. You know, I was like, one day I'd wake up and feel extremely positive and full of energy. The next day I'd wake up and I couldn't leave the house. I'd be like, I have to stay in the room and close the curtains. You know, there was a period of time I wouldn't even go and see my parents of about a month. I just locked myself away in the house, and it was a pretty dark chapter.
How
know?
do you now balance that out? So you can obviously progress, and you've got to where you are today. So you've obviously come out of it, which is fantastic. But
My
how?
neurologist was amazing. He was so good, and the team doctor for the Dragons as well, to like sing his praises. Like, they really looked after me, you know. Like it was a guy called Nick Travaglia. He's a Kiwi guy who's based in the UK. So big shout out to Nick. He really looked after me, you know. He like helped me with some breathing techniques. I was on some medication then, and it just really helped to like balance me. And then I think like I found my way through it, and then I come up with certain things which work for me on how to manage my symptoms. Like meditation's a really good one, breathing, journaling. I started journaling when I retired and stuff like that. And all these things, I guess, added together, they just sort of help to like keep me on a level, so I don't go back to that.
Yeah.
And in today, like you obviously are able to train. Have you had to adapt to your training style now, or?
Yeah, no one hit me in the head.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, I couldn't do a high intensity workout for like a few months after, but then slowly I just started to like reintroduce certain things, and now today I'm lucky enough that I can train like fairly intensely, you know.
Yeah, fair. And did you both know each other at this time?
No. So even though our sort of like journeys are very, very similar, and we know like a ridiculous amount of the same people, we never actually crossed paths till we came to Dubai. So
Yeah. So what was like your sort of introduction to sports? And
my introduction to sport, I played every sport imaginable. Like when I was younger, just wanted to be involved with every sport. Loved movies with sport in everything. A big sort of like era of like, because I'm a bit older than Putes and probably yourselves, there was the 92 Olympics when we had like Roger Black, Regis, Colin Jackson, Linford Christie, all these people were like figureheads. And when the Olympics was on, especially from like a family point of view, everyone sat in front of the TV. It was like, the Olympics is on, be quiet, it's the biggest thing on TV. So I just love sport. Unfortunately, like I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was about 14. So I really, really struggled at school. But my only avenue was really getting involved with sport. And at 15, to get out of a detention, I went and played rugby. And my school teacher was like, yeah, you're quite good. And then my progression from that was like accelerated insane. So within like 8 months, I'd represented like counties, like regions, all stuff like this, and earned me a scholarship to go to, basically at the time, it was the best rugby school in the UK. And then basically from there, I just followed the avenue of wanting to be a professional like athlete. Same sort of thing. I probably wasn't at the level, if I'm absolutely honest, of what Putes was. Managed to like represent my country in like certain regions of rugby and stuff like that in certain age groups. But I always say it was a job. It wasn't my profession. So I managed to get paid to do it, but I never probably earned enough where you can like retire your mum or like stuff like that. So, and because I had such a bad affinity towards school, I just threw myself into it. And then actually, because I knew I probably couldn't do anything else at the time, it was the fear of failure that probably made me, when it starts getting tough and everyone's good and you've got to keep progressing, that's what kept me involved with it. And then when that came to an end, I sort of transitioned into other sports like wrestling, MMA, played a bit of American football. I always joke that it was because I didn't want to get a proper job, but it was actually because it was, I can't, if you try and explain it to someone about like passion in something that is actually a part of you, it's not even like I love doing this, it is actually a part of you. It is just, I lived for it, just lived for playing sport. Same sort of thing with Putes is I started like losing feeling in my right arm, and I found out that I broke my neck 3 times when I was playing through the career of my sport, which is actually really common, by the way, in majority of contact sports. Like people do it all the time and not realize, but mine obviously deteriorated. Then I started having a bit of memory loss, like stuff like that. I wasn't necessarily diagnosed as specific as Putes, but it was a caution that it was like, it's probably time for you to step away.
Sorry, you broke your neck and you didn't realize 3 times.
But that's, again, like people, like mine was, I remember the first time I did it. I know exactly how I did it in a tackle. And I just kept, we call it in rugby a stinger. So your arm just goes like numb, like a bit, and then you actually get the feeling back in it. So it's actually fine. But it's actually weird.
So that was like the norm
It's
for you.
actually not fine.
But as Putes would, it's like it happens in a lot of stuff. Like there's other sports, like even when people like skydive and stuff like that, they'll land on the floor from like skydiving, and just the impact on your spine obviously can have like minor breaks. And then obviously just the repercussion of what obviously happened, the deterioration of your body, it started getting too much.
And then with things like MMA on top of that, American football was a heavily contact sport as well. So you just...
Yeah, and I think I'm not like necessarily it is a physical element, but I think it's one of those outlays as well where, especially as a male at the time wanting to do, if females get involved with it now, but I mean, it's some way that you can express yourself without, which we'll go on to about our events, and a big thing we're passionate about is how you can express yourself that isn't sitting in a classroom writing something or learning about science or stuff like that.
Would you say that, like, I don't want to use the word addictive because the connotations of addiction are always negative, but would you say that for you, sport was like your release, your therapy, your...
and it is a drug. Like it honestly is a drug, and especially if you're quite successful in it, you always think you're better than what you actually are, but you have to. And also when it gets taken away from you, you'll never experience, like when I got all the experience I had after people said, you can't do that anymore. Like I was lost for...
Yeah, so for you, obviously, the dyslexia sounds like it had a big impact on how you were feeling at school and what you could actually achieve or not achieve. Yeah. And then you found your passion, you found something that you love, something that you can actually make some money from, and then it's taken away. So what do you do next?
Well, so my thing with it along the way, so I always have a vision on certain things. Like my mum smoked, so I never ever wanted to smoke, but it could have the effect on people whereby it makes them smoke. My big thing, my dad was always involved with construction, and he would take me to a lot of the jobs that he would do at a young age. Now I obviously realize he did it because he was like, this is what you could be doing, or if you want to pursue something and actually have success in something, not that there's anything wrong with that, but do you know what I mean? This is always there for you. And honestly, it made, especially at such a young age, I was like, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I want to do something else. Do you know what I mean? So, and along the way of those things, because again, I wasn't as good as Putes with all the stuff that I did. I had a lot of I own my own business with a gym. I had my own paint and decorating business. I went and I did some construction stuff with my dad. Like all of these things molded it, and it's like without even knowing the job I now do for our events company.
That's really interesting that you felt like dyslexia held you back in school, but you went on to start businesses.
Yeah. Oh, it's a gift. Now I know, and they put stuff out, and it's actually a gift because I know my brain works in certain ways that normal people, which I can, because of the way I have to think about certain things, is I actually see it now as a gift in the way that I think.
That's a good way to put a spin on it. You know, it's a good way to look at it because again, when it comes to say normal people, especially say with your business and stuff, you're probably thinking of solutions that don't even come to people's minds. And has that played out in any situation?
Oh, 100%. My one big one is, and he'll back me up on this because Putes is very, very intelligent, by the way. I can't write an email to save my life. So if I can find a way that I can solve a problem without having to write an email, I'll find that solution to not have to write that email.
Yeah, very creative sometimes as well.
Creative.
Did you put this in an email? No. But what I did...
I put it on a napkin, I gave it to...
I absolutely love that because there's a lot of people, I don't have dyslexia myself, but lots of people around me do. And I said, I went for the test when I was at university because I was like, listen, this reading and writing thing is not really for me. They were like, you definitely have some kind of learning disability. Like, we can't test your IQ and all of this stuff, but you don't have dyslexia. I said, do I get a free laptop or not?
Yeah, exactly. I
did the same test. I tried to get that free laptop.
The answer was, no, you don't get a free laptop, but yes, you do have some kind of issue. So I completely empathize with not feeling like you can achieve the most at school. But then that's where I want to kind of draw the wisdom out of you, because there's a lot of people that are suffering with dyslexia or any kind of learning disability. And I hate the word disability because quite clearly you're very able, you know? And so going into business, you have to read stuff, you have to write to people, you have to work stuff out. Or maybe you talk to people, I don't know. So you have to figure out a way, which maybe this is why you're saying dyslexia is like a superpower for you, because you found a way. But can you shed some light on, as a young boy, focusing on fitness, how did you find your way and leave this disability in the background, not allowing it to hold you back?
I honestly think it comes from my parents, of like some of the stuff they installed of like developing other avenues. So obviously the way I got out of like necessarily doing homework and stuff is I was able to talk to a teacher and articulate what I was saying. So then they obviously had the assumption, well, he's actually just lazy. He's obviously very intelligent, but he's actually quite lazy. So what I actually think it does, or the benefit of having it is, it's I suppose, as if you're deaf, your other senses like heighten to make up for the thing that you're lacking. So my big one was just being able to talk to people, having confidence in certain situations because I had to negate those, which all lead to obviously like business.
But I also think just because of Pat won't toot his own trumpet, I think his strengths exhibit themselves in other ways as well. So like his spatial awareness, for example, you know, the way he's able to like visualize like a floor plan or something and then convey that to someone, like explain it verbally, or you can draw a diagram, you know, which some people will be like, how do you think of that?
Yeah.
You know, and like just fully aware of like the dimensions, the space, like all that sort of stuff. But then also which is very handy for sport, is like his physical literacy. He's very like hands-on, good with his hands, good at like moving his body in a certain way. So that's what I would say, just to toot his trumpet for 2 seconds.
Love that.
Yeah.
We'll cut that bit if you can.
So then, what was the point where? So you because you had like several different jobs in the UK, and I'm guessing when you got your news that you couldn't play professionally anymore, did you follow that sort of route as well, to trying your hand at different things? I know you said you had like a month where like you.
Yeah, I think like once I pulled myself back from like the drinking and the stuff like that, which I sort of slipped into because I was searching for purpose, I actually fell into teaching. So when I was playing rugby, I did like evening university. So I had a degree in history for some reason. And then, to be fair to the WRU, what they did was they accelerated me through my teacher qualification. So I became a qualified teacher within like 6 months or something like that. Taught in the UK for about 25 minutes and hated it. And then I was like, my favorite coach and like a real guy who was like a super cool guy was a guy called Lynn Jones. He coaches Netherlands now, actually, living the dream. He spent some time in Abu Dhabi actually building the rugby scene here. He's like, why don't you go to the Middle East, try it out? And I was just like, do you know what? Yeah, fuck it. Why not? So I just applied for some jobs and took the first one I got. Came here as a teacher, did that for around 4 years, and it was awesome. But when I came here then, that's when I met this guy, and we just started like having coffees, talking about different ideas, and then I would say like discovered our passion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, out here there is a bit of a rugby scene, so I think naturally when you come out to places, you gravitate towards things that you know and like-minded people. Like we really enjoy the rugby scene, but I think we found out quite soon being here, even though Pewters has coached the national team here, like we've been involved with the coaching. I mean, almost been here 10 years, so been involved with the coaching quite heavily here. I think we both found out along the way, especially when COVID hit, that neither of us wanted to be a professional coach, because as well, being a professional coach is probably even more harsher than being a professional sports person. There's even less jobs. It's even more competitive, and you're probably under more of a microscope than what you are. So in COVID, we actually just started meeting, and we actually just wanted stuff to fill our time, because I was doing strength and conditioning at a school called Jess, and I was help running the rugby program there. Pewters was a primary school teacher out here, and even though we liked what we were doing, I think just that thing inside us, which is just like we want more, whether it's greed, like you see it as greed, or a bit more aspiration. We were like, right, what can we actually do that gives us a bit more purpose? So we actually started running golf events as a CSR program to buy rugby kits to send out to places like Fiji, Sri Lanka. And our actual initial idea was we're going to make a rugby app, we're going to travel, it's going to be more interactive, sort of like coaching. But because then we saw the love of being involved with those events at the golf events, even though we weren't making any money out of it, it was like, we're interacting with people, we're front facing, it's sport, it's stuff we enjoy. Like everything just started to click on, we should give this events.
Yeah.
There you go.
How did you guys get together to get to the point where you were like, we could actually work well as business partners? Like you've just met randomly, you have similar background stories, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to work well together.
There's a story there, like, because the guy's smiling.
Yeah.
There's not, like, I have a very, very close group of friends. Like I probably have 4 friends. Like, and my just because of the nature of, even though I'm very friendly with people in the background of sport, and obviously no one watches this and takes offense to it, because of the nature of professional sport, you are friendly with people, but in the same sense, you're competing for the same job. So you can't get so close to someone, especially in that environment. It's not like a rugby club that you go down to and you're friendly with. So I think because even if we had met as players, we probably wouldn't have ever like gelled as well as we did, because you're actually at your job. It's like people at your work, you don't tend to be as close to as what you would be to your friends group. So it was actually out of that. And because we were coaches, we actually started meeting up, like doing coaching sessions, stuff like this. And I honestly think it's just like-minded things. Like I haven't drunk since I was 15. Like, I mean, Putes did drink, but like, he doesn't really, like, that's not really something that gets him motivated. It's like, what's your core values? I suppose it is like developing a relationship with a partner. It's like, and I don't even like this sounds really deep. I don't even see him as a friend. Like, he's like more like a family member that I now work with. And if I'm honest, the biggest thing that drew me to Pute is how honest he is. If I've done something wrong, he'll tell me. And I think that's one of the biggest things for a friend, that if you can't, and I can't take offense to it, like I know he's telling me for my best. He's not trying to win an argument or win a discussion. He's trying to tell me to better me. So that's how I think it was just like, yeah, I can trust it. I can trust this guy to go into business with him.
Yeah, I think that's a really good quality to have, like in friends, you know. Like I think sometimes, like people's friends, shall we say, they almost just tell people what they want to hear. But like same with Pat, like he'll tell me stuff that might be quite painful to tell me, but he knows I need to hear it. And he knows this like, and then I know that he's actually saying it not to just be a dick. He's actually saying it because like he wants the best for me, you know? And I think those honest conversations, even though they're sometimes quite difficult, I think that's what you need from friends and business partners, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, even like, you know, having that from friends, but also in business, that's, you know, if you can have that type of relationship with your business partner, then you're already a step ahead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think it takes a level of maturity to be able to have those kinds of conversations with some people as well.
And
Do you ever argue?
Yeah.
But that's but we want to.
Yeah.
Like,
Always constructive,
it's
honestly.
always
Yeah.
and also the fact of it being like our goals, because you find out your goals are very the same, especially with business. Like people get into business for so many different reasons, and if he had got into business for a completely different reason to me, I wouldn't have gone into business. Like ours was, why do we enjoy doing it? And it's because it gives us self-purpose. We're giving something back. We're giving people an experience that is like what we had when we played sport. Like if you turn up to our event, even if you are like an older lady that trains at Fit Republic and she just wants to get involved, she feels slightly like a professional athlete. She's turned up to this like arena. There's top athletes there. It's like rubbing, like that's what we want to give people. And if people leave that, that's the biggest reward that we can have, is like, and that's with any event, by the way, whether it's a corporate event, anything like that, someone leaving and being like, I had an experience that was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so was it, you mentioned the golf event first, so was it the corporate, because that sounds like it was a corporate, you said CSR, right? So corporate social responsibility.
Yeah, it was an initiative like that to sort of aid our sort of entrance into that rugby like sort of world.
Yeah.
But it was, if I'm honest, like there was a lot of people that were friends, family members that were like, come to this golf event. So it was people that we knew to start with. And then because obviously we delivered a very, very good event, once we rolled out the next one, the demand was already there. Like, and the more we rolled out, even though I think they got diluted too much with the golf, because we were obviously delivering a very good one, it was sort of like word of mouth was just getting people there. So then that's when Putes had the idea, and it was out of the back end of COVID. There was nothing for anyone to do. I think some of the brunches weren't allowed people at the brunches, were they? And our first event was at the WellFit Maidan. It used to be called Max and Eagle, and it was an outdoor space. And because of the regulations of outdoor space, we were able to, and it was in Ramadan, so that was the other thing that we were.
Yeah, we basically, it literally was as simple as we did the golf stuff. We really enjoyed it. We enjoyed like interacting with people. We kind of figured out that like making a schedule, managing a big group of people, like we had a bit of an affinity to it. Like we could kind of like deal with that sort of thing. And like there is pressure, like when you've got 150 people turning up to play golf, like some high level corporate people, CEOs, stuff like this, like there is pressure, but we kind of just enjoyed the pressure. And then we were like, oh, so the golf stuff's gone well. I think we'd run like 3 of them or something. Yeah. We're both like sort of into functional fitness stuff. I mean, I wouldn't call myself CrossFitter, but like, yeah, we both like appreciated the sport. and had some friends on the scene, and we'd seen like some great work that people like Turf Games had done, because I did the first ever Turf Games in the country, and I actually really loved it. I thought it was amazing. It was over at Goliath, super cool event, loved the concept, and we were like Pat said, COVID had happened, there hadn't really been anything going on for people, and then we managed to get this space, which was an outdoor space, and we pitched it to them, and they were like, oh, we love it, let's do it. So we did it, and we thought maybe we'd get like 100 people. Yeah, the first fitness event we ever did, we had over 250 people come.
Wow.
2 different divisions, like really good athletes, super cool event, like very clean. Everything went on schedule. The workouts were really good. We had a good core team around us with Rob Begley, head judge, and stuff like this. It was just really cool, and we just loved it. Like music and stuff going on. And then, but that was sort of like the start of the breaking into the fitness stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think that's also a testament to the fitness community in Dubai?
Yeah. Huge.
Massively.
You can't negate the fact of we're breaking into Saudi and other GCC countries with some of our concepts now, and I think once you go away from the Dubai community and then the UAE community, because Abu Dhabi's got the same, you suddenly appreciate like what the fitness community and what the fitness scene is here and how good the gyms are. Like you just, I mean, you know that when you go back to the UK and you see a gym and you think it's a bit different to the one I was in, but.
Yeah, it's a super, like, I mean, you know, Jeb, you're a big, massive part of it.
Yeah.
You know, the community here is, I mean, I think the word I would use is like cool. I mean, they are very cool. There's some super cool people, some really nice people, and they're all like very proactive as well. Like they're very
supportive
much
of one another. Everyone like you're inside like a community gym, and I'd go to a community gym, and everyone is helping one another. If it's in the group chat or at the gym itself, encouraging each other to go heavier, encouraging each other to eat right, all of those things. It is beautiful, the communities out here. And it doesn't really feel like, for me, I mean, I'm not running a fitness community, but I don't feel like it's too competitive, if that makes sense, in terms of the different communities. Everyone in Dubai or the UAE, there's enough space for all the communities to really thrive, which is really nice because people can kind of like dip into different ones and enjoy different types of workouts. So
Exactly.
it's really good. In terms of the fitness event that you did, obviously it's one thing creating a concept, it's another thing getting the venue to agree, this is all great, but then you guys are fitness people, you're sports guys. What about all this marketing that you need to do to be able to get it out there to the 250 people? Like, at what point, where did you start with that?
So like Pat alluded to it earlier, and I've got some experience obviously in education, as does Pat. And I feel like, like teaching, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into education and what's right and wrong with certain curriculums and stuff like that. But I feel like skills which are far more valuable than how good are you going to do at this like science test is teaching skills like problem solving, critical thinking, being able to sort of communicate with people. These are skills that can be transferred across multiple different areas and facets of life and different professions and stuff like that. I mean, if you're a good problem solver, you can pretty much do any job in the world. And these are skills, I think, which are really important and also thoroughly developed within the world of sport, you know? So I think that we're half decent at like those sort of things. I mean, between us, we've probably got like 4 or 5 skills that we're like pretty good at. So we just like double down on being pretty good at those things. And then you just couple that with like a lot of hard work and putting in like the unseen hours, doing the boring stuff. And then I think that sort of all culminates and comes together to half decent finished products.
Yeah, I think as well, like, it's like the sport thing. We had a bit of success at the start, so it's fun. And you see a lot of people, they potentially try and like go into the space that we're in, and the first time they run it, it is fun. Soon, it's like being a professional chocolate taster. Eventually, chocolate gets boring. You know what I mean? And then it's like, well, how much do you want to do this job? And I think that was then the telltale sign where then Putes decided to, I think I left my job a little bit before, but then I decided to leave my job, and then Putes transitioned straight from teaching into this. That it was like, we knew that what the hard jobs were, and we were still willing to get those skills better to be better at what we were doing. Do you know what I mean? And then that's when it becomes your profession rather than a hobby, I suppose.
And on that topic of, you know, leaving your job, did you leave your job already having full belief in what your business could become, or were you kind of taken a leap of faith or a risk in doing?
I'm talking a lot here, but I want to like I would always say to him, me and him could have started a business in anything, right? And if we were passionate about it, it would work because I know how hard he'll work when I'm not working, and hopefully he thinks exactly the same. So I've had my own businesses before, so I knew what it entailed, and for me the hardship of what comes from doing your own business, for me, never outweighs being employed. Like for me, that's probably one of my biggest motivations is not being employed by someone. And but I know that I can do it. And then I obviously working with Pewter, I knew that he could. I knew it was going to be. I knew it was going to be successful. Whether it was going to be a success and we were in the right thing, we could have changed avenues 6 times, and I think we would still be on this trajectory we're on.
You're also a father, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like women get asked this a lot. So I feel like I need to ask a man this.
Yeah.
As a father, you have someone to provide for.
Yeah.
You have this little being that relies on you.
Yeah.
Is that kind of something that you take into consideration when you're making this huge risk from steady income to who knows what?
I think it is. I mean, like my kids have grown up absolutely fine, and they've never gone without out anything that they needed. But I think the lessons that you're teaching them, because I had a hard decision about carrying on playing, doing certain sports. And for me, it was as well that obviously maybe taking a pay decrease or moving into this and taking a pay decrease. I knew I'd do the extra hours because we actually never got paid from the business for the first 2 years. So I carried on doing some coaching, Pewter carried on doing some tutoring, and you're working like 14, 15, 16-hour days. Anyone that would have known, like I walked up and I didn't have a car at the time. I walked up and down Sakim Road to carry on. But that for me, for a lesson to your children on my beliefs and my things that you're installing into, especially I've got 2 boys and I have firm beliefs on how boys should be raised. Like those actions are going to speak way louder than me actually saying to my kids, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And if I'm not willing to do it, then how can I ever expect my kids to go off and...
100%. So then you work in those 16, 17, 18-hour days. How did you factor in time for your family at the same time? So again,
through the reverting back to quickly come forward, when I went through everything that I went through regarding my neck and stuff like that, I was going through a divorce at the same time. So that their mum actually left with the children, went back to the UK. I had these are all lessons, my beliefs on this. I didn't want to be a weekend dad. I wanted to see my kids for a period of time. They were very young at the time, I wanted to brush teeth. So I saw them in holidays when I was working. I also knew the sacrifice of living here and the opportunities of living here would actually mean that I could be the dad that I wanted to be to them. So at the time they were living there. So that obviously relieved a slight bit of pressure of I could walk down Scheme because I haven't got to get back because someone's waiting for dinner. But in the same sense, I mean, my youngest now lives here and my eldest potentially is coming next year. Because I've done this, is actually allowed those 2 children to be able to eventually come back and live with me. So
and that was probably a driving sort of motivating factor for you, to walk down Queen.
Yeah.
For context, how long would your typical walk down Queen take?
Oh God,
how long would it
long
take?
road.
It was from King's School to wherever we were working. So we didn't have an office for the first I don't know however long how long?
Time.
2 years. 2 years. 2 years. It would. Yeah, I'd go anywhere. I'd end up walking down to Alku's warehouse. It would we worked a lot in Sports City, so I suppose it would go down to King's School and then back up to there. For me, it's nothing because if you're doing, it's like what I always say about sport. People go, how do they get up in? Because they want it that badly, they're going to go and do what they do. It's the lifestyle. You DJ, don't you? If you actually look at that sounds cool. I want to be a DJ. There's actually some really hard parts to being a DJ that no one actually wants to do.
Yeah.
But you'd be willing to do those.
Yeah, you do it, because you know what the reward is.
Exactly. Yeah. And you love it. That's the thing. At the end of the day, and this is what I said about the like-minded. Our going into business and doing this, obviously we want to grow the business and have substantial wealth off the business, but not because we want to be rich. We're doing what we love, and it means that we can live the life that we want to live, being active, being able to train in the day, eat when we want, do all these sort of things. That facilitates the lifestyle that we want.
Turning passion into profit.
Yeah.
Love it.
And it's, you know, just for context, because we have listeners that aren't from Dubai, you know, that it's not like, you know, you're going for like a long walk down a long high street with pavement, you know, like in Dubai, you know, there's hardly any, you know, sidewalks or pavements and stuff. So you're like probably risking like cars, like, you know.
You're literally walking down the motorway.
Yeah, literally. So.
And it's pretty hot, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit warm, yeah. But he'd do this. The thing is like that, he'd do that. I say that about me. People sometimes walking from Arjan to, like, it's just what you do to get into these things. Like, yeah, we've got some horror stories with events and stuff like that, where you, like, some of the stuff we've had to go through to get an event across the line that people wouldn't see, and the production may have come across absolutely amazing, but the stuff behind it is very much like...
Yeah, like one of the precision pairs that we ran, we were just talking about this downstairs actually. I think it was 4 days before the event, and like we'd released everything, you know. We'd worked so hard on the marketing and the perception and stuff like that. The social media was banging, it looked so good.
We had 400 athletes.
Yeah, we had 400 athletes signed up. So we were like, oh, wow, this is awesome. 4 days before the event, we had like no equipment. We had one barbell and a rower without any batteries. So we were like, right.
Yeah.
Because we got let down by the equipment provider. It all fell through sort of very last minute. And at the time, we were a bit naive, too trusting of people, stuff like this. So obviously no contracts in place. But then we were like, right, well, what do we do now? Do we sort of accept defeat, like, and scrap the event, and probably with the knowledge that we could never do another fitness event then if we did that with 400 people coming, you know, like word would get out and they'd be like, yeah, well, I'm never going to an event by these clowns again. So we just, like, by some sort of miracle, just managed to get our hands on everything, didn't we, in like sort of 3 or 4 days. But that definitely added 3 or 4 years to my life.
I don't know. The worst one, if you're talking about things that went wrong, was before we ran the Primal race in Abu Dhabi. We were at the venue and they had a cricket tournament, didn't they?
Yeah, but just for some context, like Jev's obviously been to the Primal race, amazing like production, you know, like Pat obviously takes the lead on the production and the logistical side of things. So the physical branding stuff, like, it's a pretty serious setup, right? You've got
7 lorries.
Yeah, like 7 lorries dropping off all this equipment. Like it takes 24 hours to set up, and with a workforce of like 10 people, you know. At the time, obviously, like, we had like zero money, zero budget. So it's me and Pat and like 2 of our mates setting up this event, you know, like 7 lorries have dropped off the stuff. So go on, you finish.
Yeah, so basically we had started like setting it up, and we had an agreement that we were going to set up the night before. But there was no real, again, this is like stuff that we've learned along the way of like, you need it in a contract, you need this bit literally, especially in Dubai, like spelt out exactly how it needs to run. And they're playing cricket on the, like, and there is hundreds of cricketers at this point playing on the pitch. And I've got like, I'm bringing all this stuff in the lorry, and the cricket organisation, it's a full-blown tournament. I said, just out of interest, what time are you finishing? They're like 4 a.m. And it's 7 a.m. is when the event was supposed to start on the next day. Man. So I'm like putting out gates in between like a cricket tournament. And Pete's having this massive argument. I thought I was going to get like hounded by about 6 guys with cricket bats. It was honestly a disaster. And people say about breaking points. There was like, we went back, didn't we? So we finished at like 2 a.m. because they made an arrangement where the cricket was going to finish earlier. We went back, we had 2 hours sleep. We went back and we had to set up the rest of it. And in those 2 hours, I was like, yeah, I think I'm done with this. I'm done with this events business.
Yeah.
But then what happens? The event goes well, and you're like, actually.
Well, that's the event. And honestly, it's the people. Like the event did go well. It's hard. And if I'm honest, what guys would see when they come to our event and what we see in the event, like Pete would tell you about a precision pairs that he did, where again you were like, yeah, we're never doing that again. It's so hard when you do it, but after Jev will post a picture and it'll be like, and he's buzzing because he's got like someone's got him a cool shot flipping a tire or something like that, and
or you've hit a PB or you've made some progress, and
it's like, well, that's why you do it.
Yeah.
That's why you do it.
That's the why.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and then everyone's happy, they're buzzing about it, they're talking about it. And it's not because we want praise, because again, we're involved with some fitness events that you wouldn't even know we're involved in. We're in the background, we're just helping like logistical stuff. We don't need to be in the forefront of it. It's not about us. We've had our time where we've had success. Like, it's about the people. And the more you give that to them, I think organically it just grows.
Yeah. No, that's great. And in terms of like, you know, talking about, you said you went Abu Dhabi and you had like 2 hours to kind of finish up and stuff. Like I run events as well, like as I mentioned at Top End, and my events are very different. But what sort of stuff do you feel you need to consider to put on a fitness event? You know, there's like health and safety. There's, you know, getting permissions to be able to actually, you know, host an event on an outdoor space and all of that. So
Yeah, like there's the obvious, really exciting stuff that we love being a part of, which is like making the content, being part of the marketing strategy, like building the physical branding stuff. Like all this stuff is very sexy, you know. It's very exciting. It's very dynamic. It's very cool to be a part of. But it's some of the stuff that you alluded to there, which is the unseen work of about 1,000 jobs. That's just boring, but it just needs to get done. Like who's booking an ambulance?
Yeah.
Because in this country, you need an ambulance there. As part of the requirements, you need an ambulance there. And it's not cheap. And you need to organize with them and you need to come to agree. Like, who's doing that? Who's ensuring that there's 3,000 water bottles there? Because that's not a fun job, you know? And
Where do you find out about all of these regulations?
So you can find them all on Dubai Sports Council website. There's a
Or when
document.
they tell you haven't got one.
The page
Just found out
is,
about that.
the document is on Dubai Sports Council website. A brilliant document, to be fair, but it is like a few hundred pages long. So yeah, digesting that was a boring job, which took quite a few hours. But yeah, like, you know, this is the sort of thing that just needs to get done. If you want to do something and you want to do it well, you have to do the shit jobs, you know. It's like Muhammad Ali. Like it's not like the fight in the ring is just what the people see. They don't see the 1,000 countless hours in the gym before it.
Yeah. And have you two? Is it just the two of you still, or have you like added to your team?
No, we
or?
have brand so now obviously Precision Events is the umbrella. We've now got our different concepts, and they have staff that work on each of those concepts independently. I mean, there is some crossover between it because some of the licensing hasn't necessarily signified it as just its own entity. But yeah, majority of because both of them just got so busy, we just couldn't physically do it.
So you're both no longer like rolling the tire from the lorry.
Oh
to
we
still are.
We still are.
Pat loves it, really.
Yeah, I can't wait.
He wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
But
There are some funny, like, so I don't think you would have done this one, Jeff, but it was the second ever Precision Pairs that we did. And it was at brilliant facility, DAA, right?
Yeah.
And we did it in October. And as luck would have it, it was like the hottest day in October ever. And this was at the time when it was me, Pat, and we just had one guy with us, didn't we? So we set up this like event. You know, it was tough. Like we set up like 20 barbells, male and female barbells, 10 lifting platforms was in it. And we had LiftX, they were brilliant. It was the first time we worked with LiftX and they were really good. But like 80% of the setup, like me and Pat did it. And it's all outside, you know?
And this stuff is heavy.
It's heavy, yeah. So it was like probably like a 12-hour setup, I would say. Wow. And we had one break for like a 7-up. Yeah. Anyway, I got home that night and I was so dangerous. I won't even tell you the color of my my urine, but that night I had cramps so bad in both my hamstrings that like my girlfriend at the time called an ambulance. Because
Google it.
I was in bed screaming uncontrollably. Both my hamstrings are cramping like this. I feel like they're going to come off the bone, you know? And she's like, oh my God, what should I do? I was like, I don't know, Google it. So she's like on the phone to an ambulance, like crying because I'm screaming, like the pain is so bad. She runs to the freezer, she gets some ice packs, she comes, I'm sat there like sat on like these bags of peas. Yeah, slept like not a lot, woke up the next day and then we went and had to obviously run the event. But again, it was just all worth it when you see people there having a great time, slinging the barbells around, like loving the workouts. And then actually that it was actually so hot, wasn't it? Our videographer, he collapsed and had to go to hospital on the day of the event as well.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a...
And in times like that as well, it's like, like, I want to protect you. Obviously, we want you to be fine, but also we need a videographer. So
Exactly. What are you going to do? Yeah. But I mean, like, Jeff will understand as well. Like, people in Dubai as well, which is a good thing, expect a certain quality of something.
Yeah.
But, we have more, luckily, I have more passive income through like the jobs we do. But again, if I'm going to pay for something, like, why am I going to do that rather than do that? And it's because of the quality of it. The biggest thing I think, which people don't quite understand, is even though we do get ticketing to get people to go, it's like when we knew this before we went into this business because of how like professional rugby clubs are run, like ticketing is the smallest part of what finances an event. So at the start, it very much was like, how are we going to churn the wheel where the money goes back in enough to actually, or how do we get enough money just to run the next event? Because we haven't necessarily closed any partners, sponsors, anything like that. So, and then just to get momentum, you almost have to cycle that back in before someone's actually like, yeah, we'll invest in this because we see the value of what.
So how do you do that? This year, I host an awards gala with Women Who Thrive every year. and we were so close, like 2 weeks before cancelling it. I had been
Wow.
working on sponsorship
Yeah.
from November. Again, this is not my area of expertise. I was literally wanting to rip my hair out. And just at the last minute, we managed to get just enough
Yeah.
sponsorship to make sure, not even that it was worth it, but to make sure that we weren't going to be at a loss.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like figuring out, do we go ahead, do we not? Like, I don't have, that's not my background.
yeah.
It's just something that you have to learn on the job.
Yeah.
So how did you guys learn how to even do that kind of sales techniques and to reach out to the right people to gain that kind of sponsorship and partnership?
I'd say we're still learning.
Yeah.
I think it's like an endless journey, which you have to just continually be willing to learn. Like in sport, and in life, like you see trends, right? So you have to adjust to the trends and sort of like cater your, I guess, like sales pitch to what's trendy at the time. So we're just constantly, I guess, open to like changing our pitch and working with different people and looking for different ways to make it valuable to people. But I think the core thing that we always try our best to come back to is that we offer genuine value.
Yeah.
So whoever we're going to work with, like it is genuine value.
We never overpromise.
Yeah.
Never-
If anything, we under promise, which
Underpromise
sometimes
as well,
bites us in the ass
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, but but we would rather stick to our, like, I guess, our honest, grounded promises, and then over deliver is like sort of our formula, isn't it?
And I think it just comes down to like you only buy something if you truly believe the person that's selling it to you. And because we're so proud people, or like we have egos, I would never ever be able to do something and not deliver on what I've promised it to be. So if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do that, because again, keeping that person involved, then they have more trust in you, and then that's how you build like our relationship with Puma for our Precision Series. That took, like, it wasn't just a one event, and it took event after event after event, us still over delivering until they signed them for a prolonged period.
I do think as well, if there's anyone like, I don't know, if they considering going into business or something, and Pat alluded to it earlier, like I think it was your question, Jev, on like how we sort of work as a partnership. I think the most important trait that we have, which is a common trait, is that we're not externally motivated. Like I don't give a shit about money. I mean, I've been driving the same car for like 8 years. It's like I don't care. For me, what's more important in life is actually like doing something that I enjoy, and I feel like it fulfills me. I mean, I'm not like sitting here saying like I don't want money. I mean, we all need money. We all like nice food and stuff like that. But the lucky thing, which I think has enabled the business to grow, is because neither of us ever relied on it to pull money out for our own sort of like external motivators, like, oh, I'm going to go for a nice meal, so I need like 20,000 dirhams out of the business. Like we never did that. All the money just went back in, and it still does. It just goes back in, and we want to build something that's sustainable and meaningful and just continues to provide value.
Yeah. So at the moment, is all the money going? Because before you said it was like 2 years before you took some out. So what was the point that you decided that, okay, yeah, we're going to just take something out of it? What was
The turning point was the fact of we knew then by doing that how much more time we could commit to doing it, because obviously it would eradicate the other stuff we had to do. So it was buying our time back effectively. Okay. That was like the first thing. The next thing was it as well is like if at that point we had never done it, we would have never been able to get the time back to then make the business now what it is. And also by doing that, it allows us to take other opportunities. Like we have an opportunity this weekend to be involved with something that is massive. And because we've been able to do that, it now makes this opportunity possible for us, because we have money, so we can pay for other stuff in our personal lives. That means it allows us to do that.
Yeah.
It does come to a point where it's like you have to just take that leap of faith, Like I remember me and Pat were like talking this one day, and I was like, oh, Pat, we've got this like huge meeting tomorrow with our Wassel group. And he's like, I'm coaching, mate. Like I need to coach because I need 500 dirhams, because how am I going to buy my food this weekend?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but this meeting's so important. We can't not go. And then it was just got to the point where, because we'd like worked so hard at our events and stuff, that we were getting more and more opportunities like that. And we were like, we're just letting the opportunities pass us by now. So we just kind of have to really, even though we'd already left our jobs and we were only sort of working part-time on things like tutoring and coaching, is that we have to either fully commit to this now or just like give up on it.
Yeah.
So we decided to sort of like Pat said, buy our time back.
I like that way of looking at it, buy your time back. So now you've bought your time back, and obviously, like you said, you're growing a lot. At what point do you then say, oh, I need an actual employee? Because that's not just having to pay for them, but also entrusting them with something. You guys are so passionate. Like you said, it's not just for the money, it's for the purpose. So how do you employ someone that also has passion?
Well, we again, like, this comes back to our shared value. So we haven't, like, since we started paying ourselves from the business, we haven't had a pay rise since then. So we both agreed that when our margins get better, the first thing we're going to do is start hiring people, and that's what we've started to do now. So we've got 3 or 4 people, I would say now, who are sort of like in part of the business. They have visas with us, fully employed. So instead of being like, oh, I'm going to take an extra this much money, no, we decided no, for the growth of the business, that's where the money needs to go, and that's what we've done.
And again,
with
that buys by paying for someone else that quickly, because I've only got so many hours in my day, let's say, or Peter's only got so many hours in his day. Again, by employing someone else, that technically is you buying more time back, because I can then alleviate some jobs to them, which I can then fill those hours up with more important jobs that actually is going to make the business money, rather than little jobs that obviously is time consuming, that isn't going to necessarily be beneficial to the business.
Yeah, I think a lot of like business owners, entrepreneurs, especially starting up, that's the fear that they have. You know, it's almost as if like they're scared to trust someone, but equally they also scared to, you know, there's money sitting there that they could take for themselves, and I guess it's almost easier to take that money rather than looking at it like you said, it's buying time back and it's an investment. You know,
I think the biggest thing that like everyone learns in business is about, but no one ever cares about your business as much as what you do. That's the first thing, which we understand and we value. But we try and create such an environment where people want to be involved, because it is a hard job. Yeah, they are, but they want to be involved because they're invested in the growth, but also because the lifestyle that it's able to give them is actually quite a cool thing, and it is their passion, because you can't make them be passionate about something that they're not passionate about as well.
That's a good tip. Do you have any other tips for employing people into your business?
I think I honestly think with the first thing we get people involved in short term, because people employ someone and then they're fully locked in, and it's you need a period where you understand if because they might still be amazing at their job, they're just not in the direction that you're going. That's the first thing. And the second thing when you employ them is, can you actually work with them on a daily basis? Like I say can you have those difficult conversations with them and them not feel like, for us, not feel like they take it personally. I'm happy to mention, we have a guy, Partnership Acquisitions, Arnie. He's unbelievable because he can have really uncomfortable conversations with us and we can have them with him. He doesn't take them personally. He understands what he's doing. He enjoys what he's doing, and then he's aligned with our vision as well.
Yeah,
love that. How did the relationship with Dubai Sevens come about? Is that from your background in rugby and the synergies there, or?
Yeah, so it's super, like, did you know, like, so the history of What on 3, I was actually in the first promotional video, but they wanted like some skinny guy who shit a CrossFit. So I was like, oh, I'll do it. I was actually on the video with Deb, weirdly enough. So this was before we were even like doing the event stuff. I think I was still a teacher at the time. So the first ever one that they did, they got Ollie Marsh on in to run it. Super cool guy, by the way, if he's listening. But I think like him being based in the UK and stuff, there was like some issues with it, like how to, like, it's quite hard to run an event where the person who's sort of running the event is not based in the country. I think he landed like 2 days before the event. So I think the Sevens weren't like overly happy with how that went. Even though the event was a huge success, I think like the distribution of the work and stuff wasn't sustainable for the Sevens to run it that way. So they put it out to tender. Obviously, because of the rugby and the relationships we've built in the rugby, we sort of had like the inside track. I also do some work with Emirates, traveling to Uganda every year to do some sort of CSR stuff, building schools and things like that. So that obviously was like, I mean, I had a good relationship with the great team over there at Dubai Sevens, Matt Burns, Simon Jelovitz and stuff like that. So that I guess kind of went in our favor a little bit, didn't it? So to be fair to them, because we were relatively unknown at the time, they took a little bit of a punt on us to run the first year. And I would say quite proudly that the first year that we ran What on 3 was absolutely amazing. Like we got 75 teams signed up across 2 divisions. Event was super cool over 2 days. Great vibe. We brought Sabri in to be the head judge. Awesome decision to bring him in. And I just think it was a like super cool event. And then we obviously did it the year just gone as well with sort of equal amount of success, I would say. And Jev, you recommended the DJ and she was brilliant.
Yeah. So do you know what What on 3 is?
No.
So yeah, What on 3 is like, it's a fitness competition that takes place during the Dubai Sevens. It's almost like a festival now, isn't
It's
it?
at Dubai Sevens.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I only go to play netball. If I'm not in a netball team that's playing at Sevens, I'm not coming because I'll just be upset.
But you understand the vibe, like the vibe of
Yeah,
it, and
the-
that's how our narrative for that event was more geared towards that atmosphere that we would know being involved with the Dubai Sevens as a sports person. We wanted to bring that to the fitness community at the Dubai
Oh,
Sevens.
that's great actually. I would do that.
Yeah. No, it was good. Like, I would actually want to take part in one. It clashed with, I was doing
You had a gig, right?
was it Beats
Beats
on
on Two,
Beats on
yeah.
Two, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like it looks like it's like super fun. So
Yeah.
that's another one that you got to sign up to.
Yeah,
Chas.
exactly. Because
Yeah,
Dubai
yeah.
Sevens, if you like, it's fun to attend Dubai Sevens in general. But if you're playing a sport as well, like
So much
it's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm coming alive just thinking about the experiences that I've had. My trophy from the year that we won, my netball team, is on my TV stand. It was
Just
like
have to
3
throw that
years
out
ago.
there. Yeah, you got trophy.
Yeah,
Well,
just one, you know.
That's why I think we were so keen to get the contract, because our obviously background is, especially both of us played Sevens as well. Like it just, like we knew what it was about, and it's just like we have got an affinity to the Dubai Sevens. It's probably the most. No one has probably been up to the Dubai Sevens as a place more than what more than what we have. Whether it's through rugby, like functional fitness, anything like that, we just love it. And you try and explain it to people back home, they just don't get.
It's not
like
unless you experience it. I don't think you'll really understand the
Yeah,
vibe.
and I really like what you said there about like if you go and you participate in one of the sports, you're part of the DNA of the event then, right? So it's not just you're going as a spectator, you're going as part of the experience. You yourself participating in it, you are actually adding to what's going on. And I actually think that sport globally is moving in that direction. If you ask me, like with the trends of like High Rocks and stuff, one of the reasons why High Rocks is so popular is because it's just so experiential. Like you go there, you do the race, you're part of the occasion. You know, you're not going there just to be a watcher. You're actually going there to participate first. Like you got your own personal goals, your own personal things that reasons you're doing it for, and then afterwards you can also enjoy other people doing the race, which you can then appreciate more because you've just done it.
Yeah,
You know, so I
100%.
think like that's where the direction I think that sport is moving in, and the Sevens is another example of that as well.
Yeah.
So what's next for Precision?
We've got Precision Games May 3rd, which is around a week away. We're absolutely buzzing. The intermediate elite categories are already sold out, I think. Maybe there's 1 or 2 spaces left in the intermediate. So there'll be over 1,000 athletes there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does that entail?
So it's teams of 4, 5 workouts, I don't want to use the word CrossFit because it's not CrossFit. It's a functional fitness competition where you'll have 5 different workouts. Each of them will get scored individually. And then at the end of the day, then you'll have your rankings based on your scores across the different workouts. Teams of 4, 2 males, 2 females. And we have 5 different divisions available. So we've got kids, which is the first time
nice.
that we're doing the kids one, which is going to be really cool. And then we've got everyday, which is sort of for your like everyday athletes. They just want to be a part of something like this, maybe never really done it before. Very popular. We have over 250 athletes signed up in this division. Intermediate then is our biggest division where like you love this sort of thing, like you're pretty good at it, you have solid foundations, and you're ready to sort of push yourself, which is like a huge population of people in Dubai. Like a lot of people are sort of in that zone, which is a really good place to be. And then we also have the Masters, which is for your 35 plus athletes where they can compete against people of their own age. And then we have the Elite, which will be a small group of people who are there to take it like pretty serious. Most of them like coaches or professional athletes, and they're there to like compete and really push themselves.
This sounds really good.
Yeah, it sounds
I'm
fun.
upset I'm only just hearing about it.
And it's 1,000 athletes you're expecting.
Around 1,000 we should
So
have.
will this
there,
be your
yeah.
biggest one to date?
No, Primal that we just did in Dubai had 1,600 athletes. It was
wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
Over 3 days.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was amazing. We're so happy with that.
Wow.
And are you going to continue the stuff in Saudi and...
Yeah, so that's obviously where we're branching out to, sort of taking that experience to them. It's very new to them, and it's again, you go back to you saying about marketing and how you do it. It's a very different approach to how they sort of understand it. But they've got some real good initiatives with the SFA, and they've got a vision of 2030 that sort of a lot of the stuff that we do sort of aligns with their vision. So that's why it's sort of opening the doors of opportunity to go there.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's so much opportunity in the rest of the GCC because everyone's kind of opening up to wanting more community and fitness and all different types of things. So it's great that you're getting out there.
Yeah.
Where can people find you to stay up to date with all the great things you're doing?
Stay away from my Instagram. It's just full of bad jokes and even worse photos. But probably Precision Events on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel as well. And then if you're looking for our event specifically, we have primal.race, and then we have the Precision series as well.
Yeah, nice. No, it's been an absolute pleasure having you both on. We also have a closing tradition. So either of you can go first to answer this question. And it's, if you could create one rule for everyone in the world to follow, what would it be and why?
Maybe you should both think about it and have it in your head so that you don't...
influence each other's response.
Well, that's a very good question. So one rule
that approach every day like it's your last.
Oh, wow.
I like it.
Nice.
I think like mine would be something along the lines of don't judge people by their mistakes. Instead, judge them on how they sort of try to react, like overcome their mistakes.
That's also a good one.
Yeah, both very valid ones as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah. Oh.
Thank
Well,
you.
guys, thank you very
much,
much.
guys.
It's been a pleasure, man. So.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having us.